Welcome to Recently Logged, where this week we're all wearing giant oversized Kurt Russell hats.
Hello there.
Hi.
My name is Robbie,
And I'm Micah.
and together we're going to talk about Kurt Russell
And his hat.
and his hat. Hello everyone. We're here. We're talking.
We're after our Planet of the Apes series. If you missed that,
In case you missed it,
we've finished that series, so now we're just spitballing for ideas.
we're just doing whatever comes to mind. Honestly,
This week, on the 25th, actually, is The Thing's 40th anniversary for
Yes.
John Carpenter's The Thing. So we decided that's what we'll talk about. Happy Juneteenth, everyone.
oh yeah, Juneteenth, Father's Day.
Father's Day,
Yeah.
Happy Father's Day, lots of stuff going on. But we decided the one thing we were actually going to make an episode about was The Thing's 40th anniversary.
Well, I mean, it's one of my favorite films, so why not?
No, it's good. I just think it's funny. We've got
is
two
kinda funny.
holidays going on around here, and we do The Thing's anniversary.
But anyway, yes, we're talking about John Carpenter's The Thing, kind of a classic at this point.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
think considered by most people. But let's go ahead and tell the people what they need to know before we start getting into our thoughts.
All right. All right. So again, we're talking about The Thing this week. It's a 1982 movie, rated R. It is an hour and 49 minutes. Its little IMDb description is: a research team in Antarctica is hunted by a shape-shifting alien that assumes the appearance of its victims.
Whoa.
Whoa. It did not win any major awards, unfortunately. Its cast features Kurt Russell, Wilford Brimley, Keith David, Richard
Mauser? I don't know. It's my guess.
T.K. Carter, David Clinton, a lot of people. You know, we could go on.
I mean, it's really not that big of a cat.
Well, yeah, but it's a lot of people.
That's true, yeah.
Directed by John Carpenter.
Heck yeah.
Screenplay by Bill Lancaster.
Gotta love it.
And story by, I think that's the based on story, though.
Yeah, that's the book.
John W. Campbell Jr.
Yes.
And yeah, that's really it. This doesn't have too much. It's not too complicated. Pretty small cast, pretty small amount of people.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, another thing we could say about this movie is that it was absolutely destroyed by critics when it came out.
Unbelievable.
People hated it.
I honestly don't believe it.
It was
I refuse.
It was panned and torn up. But nowadays, most of the people have turned around on it. It is now considered very much so a horror classic.
Right?
And John Carpenter, according to IMDb, now qualifies this as probably his favorite of his movies.
I mean, it's my favorite of his movies
You've
that I've
seen
seen.
two of
I've
his
seen two of his movies, but this has been my favorite so far. So,
Oh, I still want to watch Halloween.
man, I can't wait for Halloween. That's gonna rock. But anyway, let's get into what we thought of The Thing.
So, Ravi, what did you think of The Thing?
The Thing.
This was like my sixth time watching it. We just finished it like 5 minutes ago.
I think this was my fourth time watching it. I believe. I think that's right. But I think this is the second or third time we've covered a movie that's in my top 50 on the podcast.
Ooh,
This is my personal 50 favorite films of all time. This is one of them.
Robbie loves this movie.
I love The Thing. Who wouldn't?
He thinks it's one of the 50 best movies of all time.
I did not say that. I mean, it very well could
Right
be,
up
honestly.
there with Mean Girls and Nightmare Before Christmas.
I was about to say, try and think of another mid movie in my top 50, Micah. I dare you.
Well, I don't really think Mean Girls is mid. I just wouldn't call it top 50 material for me.
I love that movie, man. I mean, obviously, but yeah. So we're talking about one of my favorite films of all time. So obviously, I have pretty positive thoughts on it. I think this movie, most of the time when I think of The Thing, I think about how it's basically a masterclass in not only screenwriting, but building tension through screenwriting and stuff like that. A lot of its character work is really great. Its editing is fantastic, and that's not even mentioning like what it's really well known for, which is its like practical effects and makeup and stuff like that, which all look fantastic even now. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, I've seen horror movies nowadays with like just as big of budgets that don't look half as good as this movie does. But yeah, the cast rocks. It's a pretty small cast, so it's just basically an ensemble piece. But they're all I don't have any complaints. All of their performances are really great. John Carpenter's direction's really great. The editing, as I mentioned, it is just like, I don't know. Anytime there's like just there are so many great sequences in this movie, and they wouldn't be what they are without the editing. But yeah, big thing I think about when I think about The Thing: tension, screenwriting, and then the effects, which are obviously great. What about you, Micah? What do you think of The Thing?
Well, let me weave you a woeful yarn.
Wow.
So we were out in the distant plains of Utah.
Of Utah, exactly.
We were on a big vacation trip thingy. We were driving around the United States, and we stopped at this one park in Utah where we were going to be camping that night.
Indeed.
In a tent. And I had never even been anywhere near Utah.
Who has, you know?
So we're in this area, we don't know. It's lots of desert surrounded by like snowy mountains. It's a very cool area. And we gather around in our tent, bundled up. And we pull out Robbie's iPad. And we turn on for the first time John Carpenter's The Thing.
Heck yeah.
And I think that was the coolest possible way to watch it. Because we're watching this
Right.
horror movie for the first time in like half outside because we're in a tent.
Yeah.
And like there's wind blowing, there are noises in the brush. We're in an area we don't know. And it's kind of cold.
I was about to say, most of all, I was like freezing when I watched it.
And I just it doesn't really comment on the quality of the movie, but I just wanted to bring it up because that was like the coolest. I know watching this in theaters would probably be super sick, but I think that was one of the coolest ways to watch this for the first time.
I mean, yeah, absolutely.
But such a good movie. I really, really love this movie. It's one of my favorite horror movies. It's not even particularly what I am the biggest fan of in horror, but what it does is so super effective.
Right.
Like you were saying, it's character work, the way it weaves its paranoia, the entire movie, where you can still kind of not entirely tell what's going on like the sixth viewing, but in a good way.
Yeah.
It keeps it all very ambiguous, both time-wise and people-wise. You don't even know if McCready is the thing. Like, it does such a good job of weaving these layers of character moments, character building, and paranoia for both the characters and the audience. It looks great. I love the set piece. Like the way it all takes place in a day, and it never feels boring as everything kind of changes
Right.
and weaves and they go to location. The practical effects are outstanding. The cast is really, really fun. The editing is great. The direction is great. The score is great, which, by the way, this won, quote unquote,
Razzie.
won a Razzie for worst score.
That's crazy, dude.
I love this score. Like, I literally just listened to this score, and I hate that did that. Like people hated this movie, and I don't understand. But
I didn't even mention the creature design, man.
was
All
the
of
creature
all of the
design.
different designs and stuff that they
The
do
dogs,
are so
Robbie.
good. The giant dog looks so good.
but yeah, no, I love this movie. Which I will say, I'll get this out of the way at the beginning. I gave this a 5 out of 5.
I think I've given it a 5 out of 5 every time I've seen
See,
it.
the first two times I
trying to
watched it,
remember.
I gave it a 4.5.
I think I might have given it a 4.5 on the first viewing, but I think I switched it to a 5 after I watched it with like the full audio quality.
But you know what's
and
funny
everything.
is the time I gave it a 5 was on my birthday. Like, I decided apparently I liked this enough that I was like, I want to watch this on my birthday.
I want to watch it on my birthday.
And I gave it a 5 on my birthday.
Pretty good. But yeah, as you can tell, me and Micah both very much love The Thing.
Yeah, so let's get into questions to really kick off the deep dive.
Okay.
So you mentioned sequences
I
earlier,
did.
Robbie.
Oh no.
So,
Oh no.
what, what is your favorite scene or sequence? This is really hard.
There's so many good ones.
Because this especially is one of those kind of movies. I know we say this a lot, where I was like, oh, this movie kind of flows. Oh, this movie kind of flows. But this movie doesn't even flow. There are very clear, defined sequences.
Yeah.
But like each sequence kind of builds
I was
on each
about
other.
to say it is very segmented in the way it plays out, but it does a great job of maintaining its narrative momentum throughout that. It never feels like it's stopping at any point.
Very superstitious.
I think, man, there are just so many good ones. Like half of the movie is just like
Just
amazing sequences.
outstanding scene, outstanding sequence,
Exactly.
outstanding scene.
But if I were to pick a favorite, it would probably be the dog kennel scene. It's so good. The kennel scene is so good. It's the first time we see the thing in all of its glory, and I love the way the dog looks.
But it's so sad.
The
really.
way they
Okay.
stage everything, the score. It's
Okay, let's talk about Ted.
beautiful.
Let's talk about Ted.
Ted.
So Ted was
Shout out to Ted
Ted
for
is the
real.
dog. Ted is the main husky. And he gives like, and you may think we're saying this ironically, but he actually gives
I don't
an outstanding
understand.
performance.
I've never seen an animal like give this good of a performance in a movie.
Like
I don't
when,
understand.
like when the helicopter whirls around him, he turns back, which of course, like the dog would turn back, but he turns back and like genuinely looks like paranoid,
Right?
not like oh look at that, a helicopter, or oh scared, a helicopter. He looks like
I was like, who is training this dog? What the heck?
dude, like the scene in the hallway, apparently they did it in like
Dude.
4 or 5 takes, and the dog looks like so frightening. And
There's like complex blocking in that hallway shot, and they do it all in one take. What is
it's
going
like
on?
the dog is genuinely like, shout out to the dog. He actually gives a great performance.
That's the weirdest thing.
Very few dogs give convincing performances in movies,
Right.
and this dog was like, I believe that this dog is an alien.
Right? I was about to say, I fully believe that this dog was an alien.
But yeah.
What about
that's-
you, Micah?
So for mine, I think I've been giving this a lot of thought because I really like a lot of scenes. I really like
Yeah.
I like the burn scene when they first have why did I just lose his name?
Which one are you talking about? Like, which scene are you talking about?
When they first takes what's his face.
Oh, yeah.
It's not Bennings. It's, I forget who. I thought his name started with like a W or something. But anyway,
Yeah.
I really like that scene. But I think, quite honestly, my favorite scene has to be the blood test scene.
Yeah, that was gonna be my second pick because that one just is so good.
It was when I was first, like the first couple times watching it. It's when I had like, or really like the first time I was watching it, it was when I had like the most tension. It really comes together on like who's who, and it gives you that good jumping off point into the third act in terms of like finally being like, okay, here are our established non-alien players.
Right? Yeah. You're talking about the death of Bennings, Micah.
And it was Bennings.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was Bennings, but and dude, like the different gore and stuff that happens in that scene. Poor Windows, but Palmer's head like splitting open and
Oh
like
my
doing
gosh,
the teeth.
it's so cool.
Like if you haven't seen this movie, and again, if you're old enough, it's rated R and it's got
It is
like a
rated
ton
R.
and a half
It's
of gore.
It's very scary. If you're not old enough to watch the thing, do not watch the thing.
But if you have not seen this movie, you don't understand. You don't understand how good this looks. Like
It looks so
it's
good.
so gross and grimy, but it all looks so like, I don't even know how they shot half of this.
Right? I honestly, the animatronic work and like puppet work in this is like almost seamless. Like I honestly have no idea how they shot some
Yeah,
of it.
so at like one point, like literally they burn one of the bodies and like the head, like the neck like morphs off, like
my
it
gosh,
stretches
dude.
while it's burning, like falls off and doesn't look fake. Like it still looks like a head. And then it like shoots out a tongue,
my
grabs
gosh,
onto
dude.
something, pulls itself over, like it's still moving, like all of the muscles in the face look like they're moving, and then it like rolls around, sprouts legs.
I don't know how they made the movement on the head look so natural. This was the 80s. What were they doing?
I have no like. I think that's the most seamless moment of where I'm like,
Yeah.
these effects blow my, like, because like it literally it literally looks like the muscles in the face and
Right?
everything are still
I don't
moving.
know how they did it, man. It's so crazy. What the heck?
Do you have a question though?
Sure, yeah. What do you think of the general like premise of the movie? Because I find myself thinking about this movie as just like a concept a lot.
Just like alien taking over people Among Us style.
Well, I think more so like the way the story is framed, how everything's set up, where it's set, like the location and everything like that. I think it's really interesting to note
Yeah,
because
because I mean, even one thing mentioned in the trivia as I was going through everything on IMDb for this, is that it's never ever established what their research base is supposed to be doing.
right,
It never said once. They're just out there.
they're a research base.
I don't know. Like you're right. It's a very interesting story.
Well, there are just so few elements that I think it's interesting that they went with what they went with. Because I think the idea of like the isolated research facility is such a
isolation
good
and
idea.
paranoia.
Yeah.
And I just think it's actually really interesting, and I know I'm just reframing this through this in my mind today because I was
Yeah.
like reading through so much about this movie. But John Carpenter commented that a lot of the ideas put into this were supposed to be drawing on the themes of the fear of the AIDS crisis that was rising, because that was right at like when it
Yeah.
was starting to rise really bad. And if you're like, oh, here we go, for the listener, that happens a lot with horror. It
I was about
usually
to say,
draws
yeah.
on whatever fear of the times, even if not directly.
I
Like,
was
there's
about to
nothing
say-
like AIDS about this.
Even if it's not intentional, a lot of the time, most horror films of like will reflect paranoia or fears of their time culturally.
But with that, I think it's an interesting reframing in terms of using isolation in such a way, isolation and paranoia, because I mean, people back then, they felt extremely isolated, and there was
Right.
always the fear that somebody around you could have like AIDS, like in that community especially.
Yeah.
It was so, that's an interesting reframing of the use of location and idea. But even without that, I think it's just a very unique, because again, the cast is so tiny.
Right.
They're in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing, like nothing else interacts with them, and it leads to really cool framing and stakes for the rest of the story. Because I mean, at the end of the story, they don't expressly kill it or anything. They
Right.
literally are just like, well, we have to stop. We have to stop it here. It can't leave this spot.
Yeah.
I mean, they're in Antarctica, if I can speak, and there are no native people to Antarctica.
Right. No, I always think it's interesting because this is one of the movies that I kind of like equate to something like The Truman Show, where I find myself thinking about it as like a concept a lot. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's such a smart screenplay because it controls its stakes so directly, and it just everything is as it should be. It's
Do you just want
crazy.
more isolated movies, Rebby?
yeah. I want more movies to just be like an idea someone had, and then it's very contained, very much just exploring that idea to its fullest, which I think The Thing does.
No, it
very
does.
well.
I think it does a really fantastic
Yeah.
job of that.
Which, I mean, I know it's based off of a book and everything, and partially the movie that the book is also based off of the older one.
Though if I remember reading through the trivia and stuff, this much more so than the other, The Thing, is very loose on the story.
Yeah, I was about to say we're referencing The Thing from Another World from 1951, which this is a remake of technically.
So, Robbie, what do you think about the fact that this is one of the only movies you've ever seen without a single female character?
I mean, what is there to say, Micah? I still think it's so funny that there's not a single like female character in this entire movie, and it's just absolute paranoia and chaos throughout the entire thing.
Right. It's like the Lawrence of Arabia thing.
Exactly. Yeah. It's guys being dudes, but
In the worst way
In the worst way possible. Exactly.
No, I just think it's funny.
Yeah.
Because it is one of the few movies I've ever seen. Because even Lawrence of Arabia does have women in it at one point for
Yeah.
like one scene.
Dude. It's funny.
But it's a very, again, and that could play into, again, like the AIDS theme.
Yeah,
but that's
exactly.
that doesn't even really play in too much, because apparently according to this, I didn't see anything backing this up. And I think it's a very weird thing that they wouldn't just recast this person. But according to this, at IMDb, according to
I
somebody
don't trust
who put this
IMDb
in,
trivia most of the time.
not that much. According to this person, there was originally going to be a woman in the cast, but she got pregnant, so they cut her out, which doesn't make any sense. So do with that what you will.
Yeah.
Because literally they could have waited. They could have recast her. They could.
Well, more than likely they couldn't have waited, Micah. But they could have recast her if gender was important to the role. They probably would have.
Yeah, I don't know.
Assuming that's even true.
Yeah, again.
Yeah.
It's IMDb. Anybody can put in trivia.
Man is the warmest place to hide is a killer tagline, I will say.
Do you have another question?
I do. Just for fun, what's favorite
For funsies?
crew member of the research team, Micah? Just the one you want to hang out with. Yeah.
Okay, so favorite crew member or one I want to hang out with?
Okay.
Because I would not want to hang out.
Favorite crew member.
I would not want to hang out with McCready, but he's probably my favorite crew member.
Is it just because of the hat, Micah? The ginormous hat?
So the hat is very great, but I think McCready is actually a really, really fun character to watch as kind of your main focus character.
Absolutely.
Because he's kind of on edge the entire time, like even before any of it happens, he's a very on edge kind of guy.
Right.
And the way he uses his leadership skills that he shows throughout the movie as it goes on and everything, it gives you a very interesting and unique position to kind of not know if you can trust him
Exactly.
as a viewer. And I think more so than any of the other cast members, that makes for a really, really engaging to watch lead character.
Right? I was about to say that when you reach maybe like the halfway point of this movie, you're not really sure if McCready has like turned or not.
Yeah, and okay, so people panned the editing of this movie and made fun of the editor so hard for his use of fade to blacks.
Fade to black
fade to blacks
brilliant,
are
man.
so good in this instance. Usually I'm not a big fan of fade to blacks, but in this, not only does it fit the kind of slow, mysterious vibe that the movie has going, but it allows time jumps without where you feel like you're missing something.
Exactly.
Which is good, which is important. You need to feel like that because whenever it jumps, stuff has happened probably.
I was about to say this movie always shifts. Whenever you think you know something, it always like shifts what you know, what you think you know, that sort of thing. It always reveals a new piece of information.
So again, the way that works with McCready so well is because when we do these fades to black and then we're in a completely different situation,
Right.
Who knows what happened to McCready?
New location. We don't know how long it's been. It's man. Especially around the third act, those fades to black. Man.
Yeah, like when the lights go out with McCready on his own, when they find like he's just such a good main character. But the one I would probably want to hang out with the most, probably Knowles or Window.
Yeah, I was gonna say Knowles. If I was gonna say Knowles for a hangout, but Windows is probably my favorite just character. He's got the sunglasses, Micah.
The sunglasses. Why is he wearing?
He's got a solid look in this, I will say.
Why is he wearing sunglasses inside their little bunker?
Inside the Arctic base. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, no, so the first time we were watching this, I was really worried because there's only two like black characters in the movie.
Right.
And the 80s is still pretty hard in the trend of like kill off the black characters
early
first.
80s.
But the black characters were some of the last people alive.
I was about to say, I think they are the last two, right?
Well, Knowles does pretty.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Childs and McCready are the two last ones. And
yeah.
Childs is one of my favorite. I kind of wish he was in it more.
Right.
Just because he's a really good, like, kind of. I don't really know how to describe it because he's not like the antithesis of McCready, but he's very at odds with McCready because they're kind of similar characters.
I was about to say they're just very similar people. So they clash a lot.
No, and they're very interesting to watch work together.
Yeah.
Which makes, again, for that last scene,
oh my goodness,
so cool because their dynamic together is so good.
Man.
Yeah, no, the characters are really great in this. I know some of the character work and background and stuff was cut from the movie.
Yeah.
But really, I don't think it really takes away that much.
All right.
Because, like, again, reading through various stuff about the movie, there was more background on McCready's character and just various different things. And, like, that's cool. And, like, it adds, like learning about that, I'm like, oh, that's neat.
Yeah.
That's a cool
No,
way to look at McCready's
yeah,
character.
it's a neat way to view his character.
But at the same time, as a movie, I don't think it would have really benefited it at all.
No, if it would probably would have just dragged down the pacing.
Yeah, honestly, knowing as little as possible about these characters makes their character work really well.
I was about to say it makes them a lot more fun to watch, I think, because since you don't know anything about them, you're always trying to pick up on like their behavior and how they walk, stuff like that.
And their performances are so good that you're trying to watch to see if they would they're moving different, talking different. I legitimately think there's a noticeable change in Palmer before, like in the scenes where I think he's like the thing.
Right. Man. We mentioned how it was kind of panned when it came out, and now it's the 64th highest rated film on Letterboxd now.
It was panned when it came out, but like it has gotten completely turned around in terms of acclaim.
Right.
Like people love this movie now. I love this movie, but like it's on tons of like best movie lists. It's on that 1001 best movies of all time list.
I mean, if you like film and the art of filmmaking, I don't see how you couldn't like the thing, honestly.
Yeah, see, I did say that. I will say though, I watched this on my birthday that time a while ago, with my girlfriend, which she's a big horror fan, but she's a big modern horror fan. And this is very much not modern horror. Mm-mm. Not in the slightest. It's not very...
I haven't seen a horror movie come out in the 2000s that's really anything like this.
Yeah, it's not like dark lighting. It's not like, ooh, spooky spooks what's gonna pop in. There's no jump scares, really.
I mean, there's a couple.
There's what could qualify as jump scares. I've never...
They're not really jump scares.
I've never
They're
even
just
come close to... It's a surprise, but it's not like... trying to get you to jump, like the stomach thing, like you may be like shocked.
Yeah, the
first.
Stomach thing and the blood jump thing.
Oh, and
that's what I would
think I jumped at that. Yeah,
I would consider that a jump.
But like,
scare.
There's not like walking around in a room, going around dark hallways, being like, oh. It's just not a very modern horror kind of thing. It's much and I kind of wish we made more like this.
This movie is a lot more menacing than it is like scary.
Yeah,
you know?
It's paranoid. It's paranoid and menacing, not like scary and spooky.
Yeah.
Which again doesn't appeal to everyone. It wasn't her favorite thing in the world. She was like, it's fine.
It's a fine movie.
Which fair enough, but this kind of leans more towards the kind of horror I like. But I'm a little bit too big of a fan of like grandiose stuff when it comes to horror.
They can't all be Suspiria, Mike.
They can't all be Suspiria.
Man, I love Suspiria.
Suspiria is so good. But like, man, it's just so good.
Right? Man.
I'm trying to think of another good question. What do you think of the framing of the ending of this? Like, what do you think of the end scene?
Just the way it ends?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I honestly don't think I would have it end any other way. I can't think of a better way to end the movie than the way it does.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I'm pretty sure our mom was pretty disappointed with the ending
she
of the
was.
movie.
She was like, "Come on, what?"
And I can imagine, honestly, a lot of like mass audiences, because at the time, like, if I'm not mistaken, because this was his like 8th movie, so John Carpenter was a big name in horror.
Yeah, no, he was an established director at this point.
So I guarantee a lot of people were like piling in to go watch this. So I could imagine.
Oh wow, yeah, no, he'd already done like Assault on Precinct 13, Halloween,
Elvis,
The Fog, Escape from New York. Like he'd already done all of that.
So yeah, he was a very established. So I could very much imagine like mass audiences going in to see this and being very disappointed with the ending.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm kind of. I think what I get tripped up on this is I kind of like feel that way almost. Like I'm kind of disappointed in the ending, but at the same time I really love what the ending does.
I was about to say it just lets you take a little slice of that paranoia with you, you know?
Right? It's like the end of Haunted Mansion.
Kind of. The parallels.
No, but I like, because like I want answers, but like at the same time, the entire movie's shtick is not giving you answers,
Right.
And it's really really cool the way it ends, and I love the ability to continue the story, and just to kind of have it ruminate around in your mind and allow it
Exactly.
to again become kind of more of a concept thing than even just the story.
It becomes a
itself.
really fun thought experiment when you're just thinking about this movie. It's fun. I like it.
It really is kind of funny though, and I said this when we first watched it, and like everybody made jokes about it when Among Us was like really really big, but like it is kind of funny how much Among Us is like this.
Right.
Like just deep down, it is exactly the same.
Dude, I love like sci-fi alien imposter movies. They're so funny.
But no, I mean, I think that shows what good of an idea of a stretch on paranoia this is.
Right.
Is that this concept, not specifically Among Us, but like that it can be used for so many different things that have become very iconic, I guess.
I'm a sucker for like people being scarier than monsters, in horror movies. I think that's awesome.
Nah, man, what about that time when Dr. What's his face like pushes his hand through the one guy's
Right.
face? That was
Dude.
insane. And again, that looks so good.
Right?
How did they do that?
They used lots and lots of like rubber and putty. My God,
I know,
so much
man.
of it.
But still.
Man, great stuff.
And you can really tell, because like one of the things that I found doing research for this movie was that the cast definitely seemed to have a lot of fun on set, and you can really tell. Like they were just like they apparently really got into the concept of like, and I mean they were shooting on location for a lot of it.
Yeah.
And like
Imagine getting cast in something like this, being on set. That'd be so much fun.
it's really like, I don't know, it seemed like a really really neat production, and it came together super well. I can't even imagine like outside of its VFX this thing having a ton, like a huge budget. Like
I was about to say,
unnecessary.
Micah, they spent all of their budget on the animatronics and stuff, I guarantee. They look so good.
Yeah, but that's 15 million is their budget. That's not huge.
That's not huge, no.
But they only
Sheesh.
grossed even now 19 million.
That's crazy.
Like it just did really bad.
That's
We should go
crazy
see
to
it.
me.
We should go see it.
I was
in a
about to
couple
say,
days
the
tour.
40th anniversary is coming
So
up.
we can add to the theater numbers.
We need to boost its box office. This thing would rock. It would own in a movie theater.
Hey, we could go see it.
'Cause,
You could
again,
go see it, listener.
the
This is just an
atmosphere-
ad for John Carpenter's The Thing.
The atmosphere in this is so good. Seeing it really loud in the theater would rock.
Yeah, see,
I
that was
guarantee.
the thing with watching it in the tent. The one thing that kind of took away from
Mm-hmm.
it was the fact that we were sharing it in headphones, so we did not have the full audio experience at all.
I was about to say, I'm pretty sure that I didn't like it as much. Okay, yeah, no, I did give it a 5 the first time.
Yeah.
Who'd have thought it?
But do you have any other questions? Any other talking points?
I just wanted to mention how cool the metamorphosis of the thing is as it goes like throughout this
the
movie.
metamorphosis.
Because I love like final form the thing like
Final form.
right before it gets like blown up with the giant jaws and
How it's
everything.
built on everything that it's turned into.
It looks so cool.
No, I think genuinely, the way it progresses the thing as a creature throughout
Right?
the runtime is really really cool.
It's so cool. The
Because
creature design progresses in such a cool way.
it
Man.
really feels like they're like throwing it all out there at the very beginning with the dog.
You're like,
kennel
how are you going to
sequence.
top this?
Yeah. Oh man, that's so crazy. How could they go? But then like literally every time it's like something is revealed to be the thing,
It just
like,
gets cooler.
It goes insanely hard. Like again, like the head thing, the stomach, the head splitting open. Like there's just so many cool instances, and as it builds up, it gets like more and more menacing as it seems to have more of an ability to just absolutely waste people in like 0.5 seconds.
Right? Yeah, no, I just pulled up the poster with like the final thing form, and the way it like births the dog out the side of it is so cool.
Right, it's got like the human torso, the split head, and then it like has the arms, bursts the dog out of its side. Like
It's one of the coolest moments in film ever, I think.
I almost kind of wish, because there's nothing else that lives out in Antarctica. Like they brought the dogs and the human. I almost kind of wish there were more creatures for it to assimilate.
Sucks up like a tortoise or something.
The thing tortoise.
Thing tortoise. It has like just a really long turtleneck. That'd be so funny.
Also, is the thing is it a remake? Is it like a legacy sequel? What is that? 2000s.
I'm
one?
pretty sure the 2011 one is a like legacy sequel. I think it's like meant to be in the same universe, but like loosely.
Yeah.
Like it's not. I don't think it's meant to be like a remake of the original one. So
interesting.
I haven't seen it yet though. I really want to see the 2011 one.
Is it streaming anything?
It's on Tubi right now. Maybe we can watch it sometime.
Maybe, yeah. But no, I just think it's a very interesting story. It's been told like 3 times now. I think the progression of the monster is great. I think the actors do a fantastic job.
Right.
The direction is really, really cool. There's so many shots.
I love Carpenter, man.
There's so many shots in it that Robbie even said while we were watching the movie was like, is that supposed to be a POV shot? It's just like really cool atmospheric stuff.
It's just, man, you could watch this. The sound design I was mentioning is great, but you could watch this with the sound off and it would still be scary. It's just visually fantastic. I love it.
Yeah, it's a very cool movie.
Stretching pause.
Like that you would say something while I stretched. Because I was about to say I don't really have too much more to say about it.
I don't really have anything else to say about it either.
Again, I gave it 5 stars on this most latest viewing.
Which was like 10 minutes ago.
I think I gave it, I gave it 4.5, 5, 5.
Turns out this will be my 5th time watching it this morning when we watched it for the podcast. So
yeah.
Very cool movie.
Very, very good movie. I would very much suggest it.
If you are old enough to go watch The Thing, go watch The Thing right now.
Go watch it in theaters for its anniversary. And give it the money it deserves.
Right.
But no, yeah. Do we want to get into the what we watched section?
Let's do it.
All right. So those are you who are new to the podcast or just never listened this far before.
Right.
The what we watched segment is just a nice little fun thing at the end where we briefly talk about everything we have watched since our last episode.
Indeed.
We say our ratings and just brief little thoughts. Nothing too fancy, nothing too long. Hopefully.
Right.
One time our what we watched segment went, I think, longer than our movie discussion segment.
That's when things go bad.
It had been like 3 weeks since we had done an episode.
Yeah, we're going from this time the 13th of June 2022.
Yeah. So on the 13th, after we recorded the podcast, we watched Toy Story 4.
Toy Story 4.
I had been rewatching the whole Toy Story series, and this one still kind of sucks.
I don't know. I'm so torn on this movie because like it's fun. It's funny.
It's not fun.
It
not
looks
funny.
It looks amazing.
Robbie, it's not funny. Name one thing that's funny in this besides the 2 plush characters.
I was about to say Duck and Bunny are
Bunny are funny. That's it.
But I mentioned in my review I'm never really like fully invested in anything that goes on. It's weird. It's like a spin-off for Woody, but like all of the character writing and stuff doesn't like mesh very well with the other Toy Story movies.
I kind of hate it.
I said it feels like you're running a run-of-the-mill short film, not like a good short film.
Yeah, no, it feels exactly the same quality as all of like the Pixar shorts that come out, which is not a compliment. Like Pixar shorts are cool,
oh my goodness,
but like a feature-length Pixar short,
ripping them to shreds.
No,
man.
I don't want that. Get this out of my face.
I gave it a 4 out of 5. I think it's pretty
Toy
great.
Story 4 character work is trash. I hate Bo Peep. I want Bo Peep to go die.
Wow.
3 3 stars.
Dang.
It still has good elements. It's not aggressively awful, but I
No.
really dislike the movie.
There are just so many elements, like things about it that I don't like, that it just drags it down. Because I think technically, like even just from a screenplay's
the
perspective,
screenplay is not that good, Rappy.
it's pretty
Nothing's
good.
nothing's cohesive about its theme. It feels like it's just bouncing around for 90% of its
know, man.
runtime.
I don't know. It's a weird movie. Yeah, moving on.
On the 13th, what did you watch, Herbie?
I watched for the very first time Baby Driver, Letterboxd classic.
Letterboxd classic.
Certified Letterboxd classic. My second Edgar Wright movie, I guess. Yeah, because I'd only seen Scott Pilgrim up to this point. Big surprise, I enjoyed Baby Driver.
What?
Anyone who knows my taste in movies probably knew that I was gonna like Baby Driver.
Everybody hates that movie.
Everyone on Letterboxd hates Baby Driver. I mentioned that I wish the finale felt a bit larger and some of the character beats don't feel like 100% there. It got a little weak, you know?
Weak sauce.
But other than that, I think honestly it's pretty fantastic.
Weak sauce, Revy.
It's the second best musical I've seen that stars Ansel Elgort in the lead. So it's pretty great. I give it a 5 out of 5.
Weak sauce. Then on the 13th, we watched Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Roderick Rules. But you know what?
Heck yeah,
you know what rules? Roderick rules.
Roderick rules, man.
This movie rocks. This movie rules, if you will. For no reason, this movie is actually really good.
Devin Bostick, man.
Devin Bostick.
The voice of a generation.
The voice of a dude.
He's
And
so good in this.
This movie is somehow like because I enjoy the first Diary of a Wimpy Kid movie. We had never watched
a lot of
this
fun.
trilogy, but I really honestly like this one a lot more.
It's so much fun, dude.
Having Greg and Roderick play off of each other with this cast actually works really, really well.
Right.
And it's genuinely really funny and well paced. And like
This is what if we get like one of these a year, you know, like the family comedy pipeline, if we get even one that's close to this a year, I'd be happy, you know.
why does he look like that on the poster? Like Devin Bostick looks proportionally wrong in the poster.
Maybe they photoshopped him onto a body double.
His head looks too big. Like
That's probably what happened.
that does not look like his head.
They probably just put him on a body double, Micah.
That's fine.
Unfortunate.
But no,
Roderick
Rules pretty darn good,
Extremely funny for some reason.
right?
Yeah, I give it a 4 out of 5.
I give it a 4 out of 5.
Great
For no
stuff.
reason, it's very good. Then what did you watch on the 14th, Remy?
I watched my first ever Marx Brothers film, Duck Soup, which is about it's about a guy. He starts ruling a country, and he's got some wacky practices, Mike.
Oh, those wacky practices.
I'm trying to remember why. I never did find out why it was called Duck Soup. The title card is really funny, actually. There's these ducks like swimming around in a pot, and then it does like the music swells and it like says Duck Soup on top of it.
There's why it's called Duck Soup, Remy.
But yeah, it was really funny. I had never seen any of their work before. I didn't know it was a musical either, and it was a lot of fun. I don't know. It's another war satire movie, Micah, which I apparently enjoy. I gave it a 4 out of 5.
Also on the 14th, we watched Ip Man for the first time.
Indeed, we did.
Which I knew it was like I knew of Ip Man. I knew he was a real person, kind of, but like I didn't realize that these movies were like that. And like the fact that this is a true story is really weird.
Right? No, the fact I've seen very few kung fu movies in general, but the fact that this is based on a true story is like so weird to me. It seems very rare for this genre.
But like, you know, it's good. I really like the action in it. I like the cast quite a bit.
Yeah.
And like the story is pretty engaging throughout and interesting. It's just not like it's not 100% what I would want it to be, you know?
I was about to say Donnie Yen as Ip Man is very good.
No, that's such good casting.
He's so good.
He does such a good job. But no, I really thoroughly enjoyed it, and it was kind of cool to see, like, cool story. It's just kind of funny how much this is supposedly accurate to the true story, and how, like, the entire, like, 4-movie series is all based on true events.
It's really cool to me how well it balances its tone and everything.
Oh yeah,
It does a really good job
yeah. I
of
forgot
doing
to
that.
mention that it's because it's kind of funny at some parts, but kind of really serious at other parts,
Yeah.
and it does like a really good job. But I give it 4 stars.
Very cool movie. Yeah, I give it a 4 out of 5.
Then on the 15th, I watched The Aviator.
The Aviator. Martin
Which,
Scorsese, baby.
this is one of the movies from my top 10, Robbie.
What?
So yeah,
Very prestigious circle.
I really love The Aviator. I know a lot of people aren't the biggest fan of it when it comes to Martin Scorsese
don't know
movies,
why.
but like I don't know, it seems just as good as pretty much any of the rest that I've seen from him, and it really impacts me personally. And I don't know, I really love it, and DiCaprio gives an outstanding performance in it, and just the entire cast and direction. The only complaint I'd have about the whole movie is that the VFX look very 2004.
Yeah, no, it definitely looks a little dated now.
But I gave it a 5 out of 5.
There you go. Fair enough. On the 15th, I watched for the very first time Birdman, or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance.
Well, which was it?
It was that one, because apparently there are other films called Birdman, but this is the only one that has the unexpected virtue of ignorance behind it. So
Actually, it's the Birdman or, and then parentheses.
I know, I found that weird, right? Like, shouldn't the parentheses be around the or? Like, shouldn't it just be Birdman and then parentheses or the unexpected virtue of ignorance?
I don't know.
I don't know grammar enough. But yeah, Birdman. It was great. I mean, it won a crap ton of Oscars back when it came out. But Michael Keaton was really great in it. I loved the screenplay. The cinematography is really, really cool and great, obviously. Fantastic drum score, like one of my favorite film scores now, honestly. I loved the score in this. It's just a really cool, not only like cinematic experiment, but I think it also works really well as a movie. It's good stuff. I liked it a lot. I give it a 5 out of 5. Stuck it in the top 50, Micah.
Stuck it in the top 50.
You gotta love it.
Then also on the 15th, we together as a collective watched The Book of Eli.
Book of Eli.
Denzel Washington.
Denzel Washington. I
2010.
love that man.
Very weird movie. Very, very weird movie. Denzel Washington's great in it, and the action is really fun.
Right?
But it's very weird.
It's a weird movie, dude. It's like, it's way more like of a Christian movie than I expected it to be.
Like it's weird. I don't know, man.
It's yeah.
Where's its audience too? Like it's too edgy for like the mainstream
the
Christian
Christians.
audience.
Yeah.
But it's too like religious for the mainstream
Like R-rated blockbusters.
action
Yeah.
apocalypse movie audience.
It's weird, man. It's a weird movie, but it was fun. I liked it a
No,
lot.
I really enjoyed it. No, mainly the action is really
Yeah.
the biggest thing that stood out, and Denzel Washington gives a great performance.
I was about to
as
say,
usual.
ever since I saw Tragedy of Macbeth, I was like, I gotta see more of Denzel's stuff, and he has been great in everything I've seen since then. So,
But yeah, I give it a 3.5. It's like there's nothing really like bad about it. Gary Oldman is fine.
Yeah.
Gary Oldman's in it, but no, it's just a weird movie overall.
yeah, I also gave it a 3.5.
Then on the 17th, I watched Scooby-Doo Moon Monster Madness, which is a weird one.
Do they go to the moon?
They go to the moon.
What?
There's a lot of very weird things that happen in this movie in particular. It's one of probably the weirdest entries into the Scooby-Doo movie canon.
That's saying something.
And it was fine. I don't know. It wasn't as funny as I was hoping it to be. It's got a nice ensemble. It's got quite a much wider cast than a normal Scooby-Doo movie, and most of the characters
Interesting.
work pretty well. Some of them, in my opinion, just don't, which leads into a lot of their characters' jokes just not being very funny, in my opinion, which is probably my biggest problem, because everything else is pretty par for the course of Scooby-Doo.
If it's not funny, I'm a little disappointed when it comes to Scooby-Doo stuff.
Yeah, I didn't find it super funny. I know some people do, so it is what it is. I gave it 3 stars. Not my favorite.
Fair enough.
Then on the 17th, what did we watch?
We watched Mikey and Nikki.
Nikki and Mikey.
1976 Elaine May meditation on long-term friendship.
More proof that not only is Peter Falk the greatest actor of all time, but that the 70s is the greatest decade of movies.
Dude, Peter Falk, what a guy.
Peter
what a
Falk
man.
is amazing.
What a man, what a man, what a mighty good man.
I can't wait to watch A Woman Under the Influence, directed by the co-actor of this movie, which is weird.
Right? But yeah, Mikey and Nikki, this was my first time watching it. It's fantastic. Two great performances in the leads. The way it approaches just its general structure and dialogue and stuff like that is really interesting and good. I like it.
Yeah,
I
no,
like it a lot.
it's probably one of my favorite movies now. I really, really love what it does. I really love its dialogue. I love its weird editing. I love its I don't know. I love its leads.
Its cinematography was way
Its
better than I expected it to be.
like literally everything about this I love. It's so good.
Fair enough.
I give it a 5 out of 5.
Yeah, I give it a 4.5. I'm looking forward to rewatching it. I think going into it with a bit more, like now that I've seen it, I think I'll enjoy it a
Robbie
bit more.
hates good cinema.
4.5 out of 5. Mike is like bad review.
Then we watched No Time to Die.
No Time to Die.
007.
Yeah.
Which I was very disappointed.
There it is.
You know how people were disappointed that Zendaya wasn't in Dune very much? This is that, but with Ana de Armas.
Wow. Oh
She's
my
in
God.
so much of the marketing, Robbie. She's in so much of the marketing.
Because Knives Out was a huge hit,
and
man.
she is in 10, 15 minutes probably.
She's good, though.
No, she's great. She's the best part of the whole movie. She's the only fun thing going on.
Dang.
It's a fine movie. It looks really good, as you would expect from the series.
Man, I wish all action blockbusters looked this good, man.
Right? Like, I wish... Man, it makes me sad. The cast is still pretty fun overall.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Rami Malek feels like he's pretty darn wasted here.
Yeah, I mean, I think for what he is in this, he's actually, like, this is probably my favorite role I've seen him in. I just wish they would have dedicated a little more time
I know
to
he
him.
can do better. Like, he's a good actor.
Yeah.
He's just, I don't know. It's way too long in my opinion, but there's
Yeah.
nothing like bad about it. In fact, most things about it are pretty darn good. It just is, I don't know. It's the Bond movies are weird.
Yeah, the Bond movies are all kind of strange in my experience, but I mean, this was definitely one of the better ones. I gave it a 4 out of 5.
I also gave it a 4 out of 5. Ana de Armas is here.
Wow.
She needs to be in more movies. All the movies. Jeffrey Wright and Ana de Armas at every movie. That's my petition.
Fair enough, honestly. What else did you watch? Because all I watched after that was like a bunch of comedy specials that no one cares about.
On the 18th, I watched Sneakerella.
Sneakerella. I got a bunch of ads for that back when
Disney
it dropped.
Plus original. And it's got a 2.2 average, but it's not like aggressively awful. It's fine except for its musical numbers. I can't believe it's a musical. I had seen the trailer. It's not advertised anywhere that this is a musical. Like, what the heck? Maybe I just find shoe design too interesting to be unbiased about this movie, because I just really think cool shoes are really cool.
It's kind of funny.
But like, it's fine. It's fine. The songs are really bad. The songs are terrible.
They're so
They have
bad.
no business being here. Every time somebody starts singing, it's the worst thing that's happening in the movie. But the story itself is fine. You cut out the songs, and it gets rid of its over long runtime too, because this thing is 110 minutes. It's almost 2 hours. Cut the songs, please. The entire climax of the movie is done in this weird back and forth rap battle between the main guy and the girl he likes dad. It's weird. I gave it 3 stars. It's fine. The shoes are actually really sick that he makes. I didn't think I'd like them from the trailer, but when you actually get to see what they are, they're pretty darn
Okay,
cool.
I was about to say they looked kind of weird in the trailer, but I'll take your word for it.
Then on the 19th, I watched Scooby-Doo and the Loch Ness Monster. Which again, and I know I've watched a lot of what are considered the better, just random off Scooby-Doo movies. But this one was, again, just kind of, it was fine. Again, the side cast was fun. I really liked Daphne's cousin. She was cool. But the monster was kind of underwhelming. The jokes are kind of underwhelming. And it's fine. Like, really. The Irish accents were cool. I mean, not Irish, it's Scottish, I think. Yeah.
Scottish.
Irish. Oh my god, I said Irish on Loch Ness.
Micah.
I get Scotland and Ireland mixed up so much, and that's terrible.
The Saoirse Ronan fans.
People are gonna hate me. I gave the movie 3 stars though,
Cool.
and then I watched The Thing,
As we all did. Micah.
As we all
As we all should.
as we all should. Watch The Thing in theaters this week.
Subliminal messaging. If we just say it enough, they'll go do it.
But yeah, that was my week. Robbie's doing random stuff, so he's not really paying attention.
What? I'm
He's
paying.
not talking.
Okay, fine. Okay,
He's not participating in the podcast.
It was a cool week. I got to see Baby Driver and Birdman for the first time, which
And
I
Mikey
loved.
and Nikki.
And Mikey and Nikki, of course.
So yeah, go watch The Thing. Go watch Mikey and Nikki. Go watch The Aviator. Go watch Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Roderick Rules.
Banger movie. Gotta love it.
Gotta love it. They're all good. Go check them out.
But yeah.
Go check out my new video, M. Grayway Films on YouTube. That's Grawey, not actually Grayway. It's cool. I put work into it.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't watched it yet, but I'm sure it's great. But yeah, we'll catch you guys in the next week. Who knows what we'll do?
Who knows? It could be anything.
Could be anything.